they just start brawling in the back. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestle Capsule, where you're going to be getting your weekly dose of pro wrestling talk. And I'm your host, B. So welcome back to the show. Today, we are going to be talking about Monday Night Raw. So let's get into it. So the show starts off with the Judgment Day. All three of them come out. Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. They all come out to the ring. And they cut this promo. And basically, they're talking about how they run Raw and how they destroy the Mysterios. At one point, Rhea Ripley says that she's Dominic's Poppy. Like, they're all talking greasy. And Damian Priest talks about next week with his match in Toronto with Edge and how he's going to put a nail in the coffin and essentially end Edge's career. And he even talks about how when he's done with him, after he wins the match, that Beth is going to have to wheel him around in a wheelchair and feed him for the rest of his life because he's just going to be all jacked up. So I'm interested to see, one, how Edge is going to clap back, and two, how this match next week in Toronto is going to be. So next thing you know, as Damian Priest is cutting this promo and talking about his match with Edge next week, Ray comes out of nowhere and attacks Damian Priest, and then everyone scatters, and then Ray attacks Finn Balor, and then Rhea doesn't care. She's like basically telling Ray to hit her, and of course Ray doesn't want to hit a woman, so she's just like, hit me right here. You know you want to hit me right there. While Rhea Ripley is being a distraction, Finn Balor sneaks up behind Ray to try to hit him with the steel chair, but Ray gets out of the way and grabs the chair. But then, of course, it's essentially 3-on-1, so they end up getting the best of Ray. And then I think at one point, Rhea Ripley does a freaking DDT on Ray with the chair, and then Finn Balor gets on the top rope, and then they're trying to hold him down. Damian and Rhea are trying to hold Ray down on the mat. And then they have the chair on his like chest, and freaking Finn Balor does a coup de grace on Ray with the chair on top of him. And I'm just like, my gosh, where is Dominic? Where are you at, bro? That's your dad. That is why I said I feel like he's gonna freaking turn. He's gonna turn heel or something like that. Because I'm just like, where is this dude at? Your dad is getting freaked up by Judgment Day, and you are nowhere to be found, bro. Like what? Do you not care about family? Like, what are you doing? So technically, the first match of the night was the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament. And this is still round one. I remember last video I said round two, my bad. It's round one. So after whoever won this match, then it's round two, semifinals. So I'm sorry. But anyway, this match for the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament was between Alexa Bliss and Asuka versus Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H. I'm not saying A.S.H. No, Nikki A.S.H. And of course, Bianca Belair comes out in support of Asuka and Alexa. What I was noticing, though, in this match, it was enjoyable, but I was noticing that Asuka was really taking the reins in this match. Like, Alexa Bliss was in it here and there, but most of the time she was out on ringside. I'm cool with it. I wonder if it's because of her previous injury or not, but I was noticing that Asuka was putting in a lot more work than Alexa was. And can I just say, I'm just going to speak for everyone when I say that I miss Nikki Cross. This whole Nikki A.S.H, Nikki A.S.H, I'm not for it. I'd rather her either change her gear altogether and go back to Nikki Cross since she was, crazy and stuff like that, or just lose the mask because it doesn't go. It's like, is she a villain now? Because she didn't change the color to black and like gold, yellow, whatever that is. And she's with Doudrop because Doudrop turned heel. Like, I'm confused on what's going on. Yo, I feel like that slap at the end when when Asuka had Doudrop in a submission hold and Nikki A.S.H was trying to get in the ring to break it up, and Alexa grabbed her back out and popped her. Like, I feel like the whole stadium heard that. Yeah, but then after Asuka and Alexa Bliss won the match, and you know, they're all celebrating with Bianca. Yay, we won. And they're going up the ramp, and who comes out? None other than Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. So I'm like, hold up, is they gonna fight? Like, is this gonna be another brawl like last week? Like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're just talking smack, and they're just like facing each other. And of course, WWE officials come out because they're trying to break it up. But they are really trying to build up this 3-on-3 match at Clash at the Castle. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't know who is going to win. It would be kind of dope if Bayley's team won, but I don't know. Not saying I don't like Bianca and Alexa and Asuka, but you know, it would be nice. It would be some good storyline. But I'm loving this build-up. I'm so looking forward to Clash at the Castle. So after that match, after the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament, we have an interview, and Theory's basically talking about how he still missed the Money in the Bank, and even like he miscalculated during SummerSlam. No, dog. You tried to cash in and you got your A-whip. That's what happened. But anyway, he's basically saying that he's still going to go for the titles and it's not going to stop him. And then next thing you know, Dolph Ziggler comes in. And Dolph Ziggler's coming at Theory saying how he's been Money in the Bank before and he didn't have that handed to him and he earned it and all this stuff like that. And Theory claps back and is talking about how he is an over the hill, no title, has been fighting words. Because next thing you know, they just start brawling in the back. And backstage, they are brawling. And they go to commercial. And then they come back and they still brawling in the back. That junk look real. That junk look real. So the next match is a tag team match between The Miz and Tommaso Ciampa versus Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. And I'm like, we're seeing people that we haven't seen in a while. Like, I don't even know the last time I saw Cedric Alexander on the main roster on Raw doing something. So I was hyped about that. And I know that Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander have a lot of history, especially since they were both on 205. So I was like, well, they're going to be on a team together. So I was like, this is going to be interesting. But before that, Tommaso Ciampa and The Miz were in the back. And I guess The Miz wanted to give Ciampa some sort of memento. So you know that like chain, like Pokemon card thingy that Logan Paul was wearing? I guess The Miz wanted to make one for Ciampa, except it's a picture of them two, and I'm just like, okay, this is weird. And it's so weird to see Ciampa. He was like happy about it. I'm just waiting for him to either turn on The Miz or for The Miz to turn on him. I'm looking forward for those two to fight because that is what I want to see. I mean, it's entertaining with those two being on the same team, but I know that there's something brewing. Eventually, someone's going to turn on somebody. Man, this match was dope. There's so many reversals and quick counters. One thing that I definitely had an eye roll, like shaking my head, was I forgot what Ciampa did, but Ciampa and The Miz were like giving themselves hand claps and like giving themselves a standing ovation. I'm just like, The Miz is really rubbing off on Ciampa, and I really don't know how I feel about it. He's really starting to act like a Miz sidekick, and I don't like it. I remember I said last week, like, Ciampa doesn't need The Miz. I guess he was put with him because The Miz is been on the main roster for years, and he's a really good heel. Like, you love to hate the Miz, you know, and I guess he was supposed to be a good rub, you know, to get him over with the audience, but Ciampa can be by himself, but I see why he's with him. Like I said, I'm just waiting for them to... Yo, the highlight of the match, I mean, though, overall, the match was good. The match was good. I forgot how freaking dope Ali and Alexander are. And, of course, Ciampa's going to deliver. And The Miz is going to deliver, especially when he has pressure. The highlight of this match was when Mustafa Ali did a 450 splash. And as he was doing it, he got popped in the face with a running knee by Ciampa. And then he was able to pin him 1, 2, 3. Wait, no. Then he did a Blackheart. And then he pinned him 1, 2, 3. So, of course, Tommaso Ciampa and The Miz won. But it was really good to see Alexander and Ali get some shine on the show. Yo, can we talk about this segment with Ezekiel's family, please? Please. Because after last week, I believe that was last week, when Kevin Owens and Ezekiel had that quick behind match. It was like that jump was under 5 minutes, and Kevin literally power bombed Ezekiel on the apron and was just out, and then they just stopped the match. So that happened last week. And I guess they were trying to do a continuation of that. And they're on one side, they were showing a picture of Ezekiel and his family. He was in the hospital, and then he had his family around him. And we know it's all Elias. Let's just say it's all Elias. It just reminded me of Nutty Professor the Clumps. I actually posted this on my Twitter. Guys, I have a new Twitter. If you guys want to follow me, follow me, because I put some funny stuff on there. But anyway, when I saw that picture, it freaking reminded me of Nutty Professor the Clumps with Eddie Murphy when he was playing all the family first. Oh my god. But anyway, you have that picture over there, and then on the other side you have Ezekiel's father talking about how he's going to give Kevin a piece of his mind if he sees him and all this stuff like that. And I'm just like, that is such a comedic, smart way of keeping that, you know, beef between Kevin and Ezekiel, like, in the limelight, so we don't forget about it, because that match was so dang short. So in the next segment, Drew McIntyre comes out, and I'm like, wait, what is he doing on Raw? He is a SmackDown superstar. Why are you on this show? Why are you working on your day off, sir? And I'm like, oh my gosh, is he about to tell us that he cannot compete in Clash at the Castle because of his injury of his back? I'm just like, don't do this to me. But quite the opposite. He comes out and he just starts just digging into Roman Reigns, how he's going to kick his beep, and how he's going to take his titles. And he starts coming at Roman Reigns about the fact that he's barely there. And when he wins the titles at Clash at the Castle, and he got both the belts, he's going to be on Monday Night Raw. He's going to be on Friday Night SmackDown. Like, he's going to be ready. Then he starts going through certain people on the Raw roster that the audience might be interested in him having a match with. And he's just... Drew is in his element at this point. And then he starts talking about his back injury. But then he's like, yeah, I have this back injury because I've been carrying 20 dudes for 3 years in WWE with a smile. And I'm just like, drop the mic. Drop the dang mic. Like, I was not expecting that. He took me for a loop with that one. I'm just like, yo, like, Kevin Owens comes out. And I'm like, what? You didn't already beat up Ezekiel last week. What are you doing out here now? So Kevin starts responding to Drew McIntyre, and then he's talking about how he misses the old Kevin Owens, and how there was a time when in the same ring that they're in at DC, in this venue. Him and Sami Zayn had one of the best matches they've ever had. They left it all on in the ring and how people were talking about it and all this stuff like that. So Kevin is talking about how he wants to go back to his old self when he was the prize fighter, and then the crowd just goes off. And I'm loving the fact that wrestlers, more specifically, Triple H's kids, that's what I'm going to call them, those who come from NXT, Triple H's kids, are beginning to go back into their element, go back into the gimmick that they were in that was their most authentic, you know, stuff that us wrestling fans remember them as and love them as that before all this other BS happened. So as he's walking into the rings talking all this stuff, and Kevin is saying how it doesn't matter whether it's going to be Drew who's going to fight or Roman who's going to fight. Whoever wins Clash at the Castle, he's going to be going for the tag team belts, the Universal, the WWE, the Intercontinental, the US. Like, he's going for all the titles. Like, everyone is a target. And then he's coming at Drew, talking about how he doesn't deserve it, he doesn't work for it, and he wasn't carrying nobody. And then Drew claps back. And he just goes off, talking about how he has worked hard and how people are saying that he is considered one of the chosen ones, a reference to what Karrion Kross said last week. And he goes off, Drew goes off and talking about how 15 years ago he was the chosen dupe and then he got fired. And then WWE wanted him back. And then ever since he came back, he's been working his beep off. And I'm just like, let's bring some realness into these promos. I love when promos have real aspects to them. It makes it so much more engaging. Oh my gosh, I was sweating as I was watching it. I was just like, yes, let's do it. They about to have a match. Oh my gosh, that match was just butters. Just straight up butters. Like, ugh. It was so good. It was so good. I didn't know who was going to win this match. And that's why I love when matches are like that, when you can't predict who's going to win. And I feel like a lot of the matches for Monday Night Raw were like that, where you're just like, is he going to win or is he going to win? Now, the women's matches were a little bit more predictable. But the men's matches were a lot more like, I don't know who's going to win this and who's not going to win this. Man, was freaking Kevin Owens resilient and just, he was the most, like, agile I've seen him in a while. He's doing freaking cannonballs, frog splashes. He did a freaking swanton, like, dude. And then Drew was kicking out of him. And then he hit him with a white noise. I'm just like, this is just everything to me inside of my soul. This match ended up being a freaking DQ because none other than the freaking Usos came in and started beating up Drew. Roman Reigns, even when he's not on either of the shows, he always has his lackeys, his cousins, the Usos, coming in and doing his dirty work. But it was dope though, because even when it was DQ and then the Usos were getting the best of Drew, and then Kevin Owens hit him with a stunner, and then he was laying down, and then he told the Usos, "You're welcome." Like, tell Roman you're welcome. You owe me one. And then they're about to start beating up Drew again. But then next, Drew's getting at him, started fighting him, and just like it was a 2-on-1, and that really did show Drew's strength, resiliency, and how on fire and hungry he is for not just the titles, but just for wrestling in general. So, like, that was another way, even though Roman wasn't even in the match, that built up the match between him and Roman for Clash at the Castle. So, like, this pay-per-view better be off the hook because I'm already excited for it. So the next segment was Seth freaking Rollins and Riddle. And Riddle was going to be in there remotely via satellite. So he wasn't actually gonna be in the ring with Seth freaking Rollins. But Seth is just coming at Riddle, like they're building up this beef between them. and talking about how Riddle is at his mom's basement and how he's injured and I guess he's going to have to go back to middle school and finish 7th grade. All the basically called him stupid. And then Riddle comes on via satellite and he's going to give the audience of WWE Universe an update on his injury. Turns out Riddle is cleared. 1, he's medically cleared. And 2, he wasn't in his mother's basement. He was in the back. And the next thing you know, he runs out and he runs after Seth freaking Rollins to the point where they jump over the barricade and he runs away into the crowd. And Riddle's standing in the crowd just and everyone's going off. Like, Seth is gone. He ran away. So the next match was a match that I don't really care too much about because it only lasted like a couple minutes. It was Veer versus some jobber, Bo Keller or whatever. Like, at least with this match, Keller was able to get a few hits into Veer, but he ended up losing and Veer won. So, so here's when it gets juicy. Juicy. It is a title match for the U.S. Championship. So it's champion Bobby Lashley versus AJ Styles. So I'm like, ooh, I'm intrigued. For a lot of the match, I will say, it was a good match, but for a lot of the match, it was Bobby Lashley throwing AJ Styles around, especially when they were out of the ring. He was just throwing him on everything he could throw him on, like on the barricade, on the table. Like, he was just manhandling him. And it makes sense because Bobby Lashley is freaking huge. But of course, AJ Styles ain't just gonna lay down and let someone just beat him up. So he had to use his speed and his agility to kind of like duck and dive and reverse and all this stuff like that. But yeah, Bobby was relentless. There was a lot that started happening in the time of this match. You have Miz and Ciampa coming out being a distraction. You know they got issues. Whether it's Ciampa or Miz, they got issues with AJ Styles because of him intervening in the previous matches that he was in, Logan Paul and stuff like that, trying to equalize stuff out. So they already don't like AJ. So they come out as a distraction. And then you also have, Dexter Lumis is here again, and the freaking security is trying to, remove him from the premises. And he keeps being in the vicinity of where AJ Styles is. So I'm trying to figure out what type of beef Dexter has with AJ because it's not ironic. It's very purposeful. So I want to know how that's going to go. Like, is he going to show up in the ring? Is he going to be able to attack AJ Styles? It's some stuff going on. You don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen. And I love that type of stuff. So even though I had a feeling that Bobby Lashley was going to win this match, which he did, there was still other suspenseful things that were coming out of nowhere and you weren't expecting it. So I give him credit for that. My favorite part of this match was when I think AJ had Bobby in a calf crusher submission hold, and then Bobby got out of that and then had AJ in the Hurt Lock on the mat. And I'm like, I've never seen him do that on the mat. Yes, submission versus submission. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. And this is for the United States Championship. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So the next match was with Dakota Kai versus Dana Brooke. But overall, the match it didn't suck. I didn't hate it. It didn't suck. There wasn't anything in there that I was just like, ew, no, that's bad. But it was very short. The match was very short, which made it uneventful. And I had a feeling that Dakota Kai was going to win. And like I told you guys before, on the majority of my videos, when I can predict who's gonna win, and there's nothing else within the segment or the match that's gonna be like, makes me want to be like, ooh, where did that come from? No suspense at all, and I just know what's gonna happen. I lose interest, and I kind of lost interest with this match. I can tell that Dakota Kai is getting better, and I'm glad that she's getting more opportunity to be on Raw, because it's only going to make her better. Like I said before, like, I know she got some ring rust. It's been a while, but I feel like she's getting back into it. And I feel like if the match was a little bit longer, we could have saw more improvement. But I guess we just got to stick with that. Dakota Kai ended up winning, and she didn't get the 24/7 championship, which is a little weird because I thought that's what the 24/7 championship was about. And last but definitely not least, the main event of the night, Monday Night Raw, Dolph Ziggler versus Theory. So I'm so glad that they were able to settle their whole brawl beef that happened earlier in the night with this match. And man, did it not disappoint. The moment the bell rung, they were at each other's throats. And I'm definitely seeing similarities. I believe it was Corey Graves on commentary was talking about how both of them are very similar in the fact that when Dolph came in, he was very like roughing up feathers, very disrespectful, and Theory's doing the same thing. So Dolph Ziggler sees himself in Theory, which makes him pissed off even more, which makes the beef even more like amplified. Like, let me say this about Theory. He's a heel, duh. But I like him. Like I like to not like him. Like, he's good at being a heel. And when he punched Dolph in the face and laid him out cold, I was like, wait, is the match done? Like, is it done? Theory kept throwing Ziggler into the ring post, like left and right and left and right. And then Dolph Ziggler was getting over it, so he was just like, let me throw you in the ring post. So it was a lot. It was back and forth, even though I feel like Theory was definitely getting the best of Dolph Ziggler. Dolph wasn't going to sit down and play no fool. So yo, this match right here was one of those matches where I talk about, like, I didn't know who was going to win. Like, there were so many close calls, like the pins and the kickouts. I didn't know who was going to win. Like, I had no idea. I feel like Dolph Ziggler and Theory did a fantastic job with this main event. Like, the way that they were fighting, you would think they were doing it for a title shot. Or better yet, you would think they were doing it for an actual, like, championship match. But then Theory hit Dolph Ziggler with the A-Town down and was able to pin him 1, 2, 3, and he won the match. So Theory won that. That was a really good match, though. I'm wondering if they're going to have to do a part 2 on this, because I feel like it's not concluded. I feel like it's not done. I feel like there needs to be more. And I hope that they do something next week, because I need to see that. I like that beef between Dolph Ziggler and Theory. It's really good. I want to see it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more episodes, because you know I'm going to keep pushing these episodes, pushing these reviews out. I have so much more that I'm going to be sharing with you guys on this channel. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. And guys, you will see me next time. Signing off. Bye.